before, in today's lesson you're going to look at writing your instructions. We've got a starter for you. Read the instructions carefully. Which of the sentences is a command? Tick 1. Think very carefully about the use of the imperative verb. Is it telling the person to do something, or is it suggesting they do something? And then down below, circle the 2 words that show a command in the passage below. So pause the film when you're ready. Okay, the only sentence that's a command is, before you go out, ask your mother for the shopping list. If you were to take out the fronted adverbial, it would be ask your mother for the shopping list, which is a command. And then down below, your verb is ring and tell, the 2 imperative verbs. So instructions need bossy verbs or imperative verbs. They tell people what they need to do. And we know that adverbs of time help people work out the order they need to do them in. So it helps place the instructions in chronological order. Now, last lesson you looked at taking your imperative verb and using an adverb to describe how to do it. Today I want you to take an imperative verb and think about an adverb of time. So I'd like you to come up with 5 different instructions. Give as much detail as possible. The 2 examples in blue. First, gather dragon food to reward your dragon. So we've taken the time adverb first, we've taken our imperative verb gather. And then next, blow the whistle sharply to signal the start of training. So pause the film when you're ready and have a go at 5 different sentences using the imperative verb, using adverb of time, and you could also add in an adverb like we did in the second example, blow the whistle sharply, use an adverb to describe how it should be done. So in today's lesson then you're going to be writing your set of instructions. And before you begin, I'd like you to look at your success criteria and remind yourself of the targets you set. And I'd also like you to look at the features list to remind yourself of all the different features you need to include. I think it would also be a good idea to spend the time just looking back through the deconstruction to remind yourself of the layout of the instructions, to perhaps magpie some high quality vocabulary that maybe you didn't include in your plan. You could always take a highlighter and highlight any HQV, for example, daunting task, ferocious dragon, and just to remind yourself of how the instructions are set out and what the features are. I would then spend time reading through the whole of your plan. I'd read through all of it once, and then when you come to write each section, reread that section. So you're now ready to start writing your instructions. So here's my plan for the first part of my instructions. How to train a dragon. Most important skill of being a Viking and a member of Hooligan tribe is being able to train your dragon. Forget Professor Yobbish's guide, read these instructions to get an obedient dragon. Remember, it's a note format, and the whole point about the plan is it gives us a bit of a scaffold, and we now need to add to that scaffold to give more detail. So I've got my heading, how to train a dragon. I'm going to put a sentence in before the introduction I've got in my plan. Training a dragon is no easy feat, so I'm adding in right at the start. It is hard work and requires skill and dedication. However, it is also one of the most important skills of being a Viking, and without it you cannot become a member of the Hooligan tribe. So this is the part in my plan, and I've added around it. Fear not, young Viking, for if you follow these simple instructions, you will be the proud master of an obedient dragon. So remember, your plan is a scaffold. You need to take the scaffold from the plan and you're going to add to it. Okay, we're now ready for the next section of our plan, our instructions, which is the you will need section. Now it might be that whilst you've been planning your instructions, you've realised there are some items that you didn't include originally that you may need to add in now, and that's absolutely fine. So I've got my heading, you will need, and my colon, because I'm going to now show a list of things with bullet points. So think about how you set it out. You will need, colon, misalign, first bullet point. And I've just added in a little bit of extra information here. Plenty of your dragons, don't forget your possessive apostrophe, favourite food, and then in brackets, mice, rabbits and fish. a bucket I'd forgotten to put in my plan before, a leather glove, a smooth flat rock I'd also forgotten to put in before, a long stick or staff, plenty of patience. And I decided, even though I put lots of patience there, I decided to leave it last on my list because these are all objects that the person needs to go and collect, whereas this is an abstract noun. It's not something you can see or pick up. And then we've got the longest part of your writing, the instructions, each one step by step, where you need to be ensuring you've got a time adverb, you've got your imperative verb, you've got an adverb, how to do it, and you may need to, because it's in note form, expand on the idea. So the first one in my plan said, first collect dragon food. And again, I've just expanded on the idea with a fronted adverbial. Before you begin training, comma, you will need to collect an adequate supply of your dragon's favourite food. Note, it is imperative that you train your dragon on an empty stomach, and a really good use of brackets here for extra information. Before breakfast or dinner times works best so that it responds to food as a reward. Don't forget you've got your heading method, and I've decided to number my steps, my instructions. Right, my next one was next put on a protective glove, but I realised that actually I'd missed out a step. So I've got step 2, first, comma, you need a comma after your time adverb. You will need to stand at least 5 meters away from your dragon with a smooth flat rock by your feet. Step 3, which is this one here. Put on a protective glove and slowly, don't forget your adverb, place a piece of food in your outstretched hand. Note, it is best to avoid any sudden movements. So again, I've added in an extra bit of information there. And finally, my next point. Next, blow the whistle loudly, I've added in an adverb 3 times, and shout firmly, come. So all the while I'm taking what's in my plan, I'm thinking, can I add in an adverb? Can I add in extra information? Can I add in extra information in brackets? And finally, my conclusion. Training requires commitment, but will be rewarded with a loyal and obedient dragon. So I felt that was quite brief. It needs a little bit more to it. Dragon training requires commitment and determination, so I thought I'd put in a bit more HQV. But your perseverance will be rewarded with a loyal and obedient dragon, who will be your Viking soulmate and companion for life. Right, don't forget you need to ensure you're including what's on your success criteria, but also have a look at these targets. Bronze, ensure you're using imperative verbs and adverbs of time. Silver, imperative verbs, adverbs of time, adverbs and HQV. And gold, on top of that, you've got any subject-specific or technical vocabulary linked to training the dragon. When you've completed your instructions, go back and look at your success criteria and your features grid and tick off what you've included. I'd then like you to complete 2 reflections. What have you done well? Think about all the things you're pleased with in your instructions, the features you've managed to include, what you've managed to achieve on your success criteria grid, and probably the most important reflection, what's your next step? What do you need to improve on? If there's anything you weren't able to tick off on your success criteria triangle, then that's what you'd need to work on tomorrow when you're editing, because you can add it in. So tomorrow, the focus is on proofreading and editing your work, and really think about what's on your success triangle and on that features grid to ensure you can improve it by adding in more with purple pen.